Hello, and welcome to another edition of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
And I'm Bill, and I'll start us off with our sport business moments.
All right.
As you know, I was at the Masters last week,
I do.
and I got to see for myself how the finances of the Masters. It's very interesting. Parking's free, which is a great benefit, and it's not bad parking either. It's pretty good parking. You're not really, you're walking a little bit, but it's not like way out where you're on a shuttle or something like that. So I was impressed with that. The concessions prices, everybody told you, like I had a sandwich and a drink for $5, and I had to do this barbecue sandwich. $3 was the most expensive item on the menu, and it was very good. And then I bought my chair for $30, which I think they could charge much more for that.
Sure.
And but it's designed for purposes to keep the size of all the chairs the same, so the certain number will fit in the areas, and you're not having somebody with a giant chair blocking somebody from behind. So it's really well thought out. I was really impressed with that.
Nice.
And then I was really, really impressed with the spending I was in the smaller of the two pro shops, and I was very impressed with the spending. Like every order I saw was like $400, $500, $600.
That's why they can afford to be so cheap with parking and food, apparently. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's what they did. They just let you spend the money on the thing. And the other thing that impressed me is that everything that I saw, with the exception of a very, very few, is the brand is Masters. So they have their own brand. They don't license it. They license it out to a few people like Peter Millar, but for the most part, it's their brand. So they're making really good money on all the retail because they're not licensing it. It's their stuff. They're having it manufactured. There's no middleman, and so that's what they do. And it's not that outrageously priced. Like a shirt's $79, and a vest is like under 100, and jacket's about 110. And it's very good quality stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty on point with what most things cost outside of,
Yeah. So again, really, really, really impressed with that. But my other sport business moment is this announcement by Anheuser-Busch that they're now changing their sponsorship model, where they're going to we've been called corporate partners for years, but they're actually going to be a partner now, because you're going to get a lower base with an incentive to earn bonuses and more money in your agreement. So if in other words, Anheuser-Busch, the more beer you sell, the more return you're going to get on the investment. So it's in your interest and Anheuser-Busch's interest to promote Anheuser-Busch and sell the beer. And I can see the same thing coming with Coke and Pepsi, and who knows what else, but it's going to be the model. Maybe pizza too, because it makes sense. I mean, why wouldn't you want that to be the model for the sponsorship? That you're partners and you're going to drive the money together. So if you're the TV partner and you're a pizza company, I'd want the announcers eating the pizza in the booth, showing the pizza, talking about it, and offering a coupon, doing all kinds of things. So that's where I see sponsorship going now, and it makes a lot of sense to me. I'm surprised it's taking this long.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I want people in the booth chewing on food, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I went to Power Games. They always have food up there.
Oh, okay.
And it's not distracting, but they show it. They say, this looks really good. Look at this. And they're not in any of those things. They're just a regular concession stand. But, you can have some good stuff that can work out.
Yeah, and I guess if they're going to, sell Domino's and Pizza Hut and Papa John's, they're going to have to become better actors to sell that pizza, to pretend that they like it.
Absolutely. Yep. So, I watched the Masters, watched Ricky Fowler come in second. I was really rooting for him. I mean, Patrick Reed's a good story, but I was kind of rooting for Patrick Reed to miss the last putt to have a playoff with Ricky Fowler.
Now, what did you think? Because it seems like a lot of people were against Patrick Reed.
It's because they want the stars to win. He's not a star.
But they were like fat-shaming him,
Bubba
and
Watson was when Bubba Watson won the first time. Like, he's got a kind of a little bit of a weird, they call that helicopter swing.
yeah.
And he was like moving the ball around. He was like crushing the ball. I mean, he just didn't get timid. He did not, when he had the lead, he did not play not to lose.
No.
And that's what I did admire about him. He played to win.
But people were fat-shaming him on Twitter.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah. But, I mean, why do you want to see the same old, same old? Like, don't you want to see the underdog? Don't you want to see somebody new? Maybe the beginning of a new star? Like, why do you want to see the same crap over and over again? Like, I don't know. I've never understood that.
Because they like their stars. And then they like their stars to screw up, too. So, I mean, they have it both ways. It's interesting.
Right, but he could be a new star. Maybe you're witnessing the birth of a new star.
But the crowd's following Tiger the whole time, and then following Jordan Spieth, where
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a person. I didn't really care about the golfer. I cared about the course. So, Uncle Dan and I found some really interesting holes to watch, and that's what we watch. We watch all the golfers play on certain holes, rather than watch a golfer play every hole.
That seems to be the best way to post up, and you get to see everybody, you get to see everything.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, this one hole we posted on was a par 3, and it was really difficult to putt on it because it had a lot of undulation. And so, like, one time Tiger was putting north-south and the hole was west. And it was kind of fun to watch him read that and do that, so it was kind of cool. But I had a really good time.
Are you allowed to walk the entire course?
I didn't walk the whole course. I could have walked the whole course.
Okay, so if you have a ticket, you can walk it and see the whole thing?
And... Yeah, you can go everywhere you want to go. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if there were...
you're in there, if you're in there at 8:30, you can start, you're on holes where nobody's there.
Right.
You can't walk up on the green. You can walk to the hole where you're going to be able to sit and walk that way. But it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And Tiger didn't provide much. I mean, I think he was almost going to miss the cut by the second day.
Yeah. But, he just did something. Then I saw, Sergio Garcia had the 13 on the hole that we had been watching.
Yeah, the 5 in the water.
And then he jumped it, and then he came right over the hole we were watching. Had a birdie. So, I mean, it's tough. I mean, you got to I wish I would have watched the Tin Cup thing. I don't know if it's sick or not, but I just, I like somebody that's that confident that they're just going to keep doing that.
Yeah. Well, it seems like in the Masters like this, like once you did it once or twice, like there's no reason to, you're not going to win, so you must just keep doing what you're doing.
You might as well keep going.
It's a small margin of error, I suppose.
Yep.
All right. Well, we talked a little bit about baseball, but I think we need to bring up your Pirate thing, Dad, because
my Pirates are 7-2.
James Tallien just pitched a one-hitter. He's National League Player of the Week.
Yep.
Polanco's on fire.
I was going to watch today because I came home from work because I'm sick. So I was going to watch today, but the game got snowed out. So I actually may watch tomorrow.
Okay.
So it would take me 10 games, whereas last year probably by this time I would have watched 9 of the 9 games, or 8 of the 9 games.
Definitely.
But I did watch Ohtani yesterday.
Yeah.
And he was ridiculous. I watched that. In fact, I was switching back and forth between that and the Masters, and I was watching more Angels until Ohtani gave up the hit, and then once he gave up the hit, then I switched and watched the Masters. But I like Ohtani. I like Kutch's 6 for 6 and walk-off home run really well. That's my highlight of the baseball season thus far.
Yeah, I really want to see Kutch come back. I mean, it's a shame that it's not going to be for the Pirates, but he did a lot for that.
One of the best videos I've seen.
Yeah, and I really want to see him.
I could feel his joy through watching the video.
That's nice to see because he was a great guy for Pittsburgh.
He was.
Really good ambassador for the city. He took less money, he stayed there, and I don't even think he wanted to be traded. But
no, he didn't.
It's nice to see him.
That's what happens, and that's one of the reasons I'm ambivalent about Pirates. And then Garrett Cole goes out and pitches a 2-hitter.
Yeah, I know.
And then Charlie Morton's won his last 4 starts. So I have to say to myself, maybe the pitching coach isn't all that in Pittsburgh.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. So that'll be a story that I will be following to see how these ex-Pirates continue to play.
Without a doubt.
So how are we on our NBA? This is the final couple days.
The final couple days. I think everything's pretty much set. I mean, this big shame again is just the insane number of injuries this year.
Yeah, it's been terrible. Again, there's too many games.
It's too many games. Well, I mean,
all times, too many games.
Yeah. But you also had freakish injuries like the Kawhi injury that I'm not even sure what that injury is still, and what his plan with that is because he seems very like he doesn't not want to be in San Antonio anymore, which is a shame.
No. And I got to shout out big time to the Sixers for winning 50 games.
I know.
It's a fun team to watch.
And right now, if Embiid comes back healthy, they've got as good a shot as anybody, and I mean anybody, to win the East.
Yeah, they do. It's interesting, though. You draft Markelle Fultz number 1 overall. And Ben Simmons, why would you ever not want him as your point guard?
I know. I think that was a best player. I mean, they thought he was the best player on the board, best player available. But I mean, they moved up to get him, so they must have really liked him because
Yeah,
Boston.
they must have really liked him. And I can't see anybody playing point guard better than Ben Simmons is playing point guard.
No, and Fultz does not look like the kind of guy that can not have the ball in his hands.
No.
I mean, oddly enough, Tatum looks like he would have been the perfect fit for that team. A long, athletic wing that can score from the outside. But,
Well, it's funny how sometimes stuff things work out, but Ben Simmons looks like the real deal. Definitely laid out for Rookie of the Year, I think.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I don't even know who else they really going to. I mean, Donovan Mitchell has had a hell of a year, too, though, out in Utah.
He has. He's had a great year.
And any other year, I think he's a runaway candidate for Rookie of the Year. But Ben Simmons just has been absolutely phenomenal.
So I'm hoping the Timberwolves do whatever they have to do to get in. I mean, they were doing really well. They were a 4 seed until Jimmy Butler got hurt.
I know.
Now they're scrambling to be an 8. But I'm hoping they get in just for their fans, and they deserve to get in. They put a lot of effort in. So I'm hoping they get in.
I think the most confounding team, obviously, is Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I mean,
they drive me crazy.
Yeah, because they lost like 10 to 15 games in the last few minutes of games, either missing shots or giving up shots at the end. And
they had a 10-point lead the other day against the Rockets, and they almost blew that.
I know.
They missed like 4 free throws, and Rockets went down with popping shots. It's just that they don't have a killer instinct, and they get lackadaisical. And again, I just don't think Carmelo's a good fit on that team.
No, but they didn't really give up a lot to get him, and I think if you're Oklahoma City,
they give up a lot of cap space.
They give up a lot of cap space, yes. But I think you just figure the guy I saw in the Olympics, if that Carmelo comes and plays here, like maybe we got a chance, But it obviously doesn't seem that way. I mean, and Paul George, when they lost Andre Roberson, what I saw an NBA guy was talking about is that Andre Roberson was able to take whoever their best scorer was, Andre Roberson would go on, and then Paul George would take the second best scorer, and you just had this suffocating defense, and that allowed Russ to do what Russ does, which is sort of go for steals and whether and if you're a Russ fan, you just think he's being aggressive. If you don't like Russ, he's a selfish stat hog. So whatever you want to say,
let's
but
see where things go. But I mean, like I think I said 2 weeks ago, Toronto, Houston, Philadelphia, Houston. Either of those 2 things could happen, I think.
And you can never count out LeBron James.
I know. I think Houston's going to win the West up.
You don't give Portland any shot at all?
No.
I still think Golden State.
You know what? There's part of me. I've always really liked Mike D'Antoni, and I think he gets a lot of grief for his style of play. But I'll tell you what, he's exciting. His teams are exciting to watch.
I can't argue that they're exciting to watch. That's obviously true. But but I don't know. I don't like Chris Paul. I don't like James Harden, and I don't want to see them.
No, I don't like the team at all.
Yeah.
Trust me. But I like D'Antoni stuff. I don't like the team. And if they don't win, I'll be just as happy. But I think they're going to win.
Well, everything. Of the contending teams, they're the healthiest team.
Yep.
We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what Steph Curry is or isn't moving forward.
No.
He's going to miss the first round of the playoffs, and then he's got to come back. And, his ankle injury seems like it's back to being a legit ankle injury again. Something you actually have to worry about. So it's very hard to say.
I mean, you can't turn your ankle 4 times in a season and not have it be a factor.
No. And it's, like I said, it's just a shame. Because, now that everybody's all jacked up, I'd like to see everybody. Sorry about that, people listening.
Yeah, we'll see. And hockey starts Wednesday night, I believe.
And hockey does, yeah. Now, I'll have my little pirate or my penguin corner for a second. The thing with hockey is, as good as the Penguins are, and as much as I would love to see a three-peat, they've been playing really sloppy hockey, and it's amazing they've won as many games as they have. They're basically Kessel, Crosby, Malkin. It looks like they're playing almost like one-on-one basketball when they get out there. Like, the amount of snipers and excellent players they have are just shoot. But they're not playing as a team. They're not playing as well as they should be playing. So And I think, like we said last time, I mean,
Penguins are playing the Flyers, who have been trouble for them.
well, the Penguins are 4-0 against the Flyers this year.
Oh, okay.
So.
Because who am I thinking about? Who's been trouble for the Penguins?
Well, they've actually had trouble
the
against.
Bruins have been trouble for the Lightning, the team I'm following.
The Penguins have had. I mean, they've just been up and down all year. I mean,
yeah.
I don't worry about the Capitals because the Capitals always choke in the playoffs. The Vegas Golden Knights look outstanding.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Stanley Cup too, no question.
And playoff hockey just doesn't get enough. I mean, more people need to watch playoff hockey. If you love sports, playoff hockey is just outstanding. And I know for whatever reason, hockey seems to be the sport that translates least to television. And I don't quite know, even with HD, like it just doesn't. Like football, clearly to me improves the viewing of the game. We've been privileged enough to see some really great football with some really great seats, and you still never have a great seated football. You end up watching you end up watching the giant mega screen most of the game anyway to see what actually happened. But there's something about hockey, and even the NBA, I think, works both ways. You have great seats in an NBA game; it's fantastic to be there live, but it looks great on TV. Hockey just loses something about it, and I don't know how they can fix it. I don't think it's adding, the little tail to the hockey puck like Fox tried to do like a decade ago. Like
it makes it. I mean, you try to adjust at the speed, even when ESPN's on top plays and they show some of the shots the goalie saves. I mean, I didn't see it. I had to wait till they slow it down.
I know.
And some of the shots are just amazing.
But it's true. A lot of the hockey highlights, like you do need to watch them. You watch it the first time, and you're not exactly sure what happened. Then they show you the slow motion, and you're like, "Oh, that was amazing." But in real time, it's everything's happening so fast. The puck is moving so quickly. And like I said, Fox tried to put a little glow around the puck one year and do some other things, but it just has never really translated to a success. So
let's talk a little NFL.
All right, what do you want to talk?
Because today's USA Today has Nate Davis's delving deep into the trade market with suggestions as part of his first round NFL mock draft.
Okay.
So let me give you some of these.
All right.
So he says the Browns take Josh Allen with the number 1 pick.
Not Sam Darnold.
Not Sam Darnold.
Okay.
Likes the arm, the big arm, and the general manager was in Kansas City. Remember, he traded up to get Patrick Mahomes, who had a big arm.
It's true.
So I think that's a good point. So then the number 2 pick, he has the Giants trading it to the Buffalo Bills, who takes Sam Darnold.
Okay.
All right. And at 3, he has the Jets taking Josh Rosen. Then at 4, he has the Browns taking Saquon Barkley.
Where does he have Baker Mayfield going? Does he slip all the way to the Cardinals at 10 or 11?
Let me see. Proposed trade, number 10, the Cardinals from the Raiders, Baker Mayfield.
Okay. I'm not a fan of the Giants by any stretch, but I think Eli probably gets. I don't know. It's hard to say. If he seems like he gets a lot of love and a lot of hate. But if you're the Giants, you have the number 2 pick in the draft, and you have, whether it's Rosen or Darnold or Allen, whoever's sitting there. Eli Manning is looking old. He doesn't have much left. If you have a chance to draft your franchise quarterback, I think you got to go for it, right?
I think you do too.
I mean, the other nice thing is, with Eli coming off the books next year, you have one of these rookie quarterbacks on a nice deal for the next 4 to 5 years. Then you can technically pay Odell, make him the highest paid receiver in football, and by the time your quarterback comes up, it is a grand giant can of worms to pay anybody that much money on your team.
Yep.
Because once he gets that much money, then you've raised the bar for everybody else. And
the last quarterback to go, they have Lamar Jackson going to the Dolphins at 29 from the Jaguars.
See.
With a lot of doubt about Tannehill's knee.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I'm going to make your day, though, Jace. They have the Steelers trading up to number 18.
For?
And Rashawn Evans from Alabama.
Well, I like that. I mean, I don't really know what the Steelers. I mean, the Steelers clearly need inside linebacker help, no matter what happens.
Well, here's what they say about this trade.
What do they have to give up to move up that high? A second or a third?
Probably their first and third.
Okay.
Steelers have likely part with a third rounder and an additional sweetener to get Seattle to drop 10 slots. Pittsburgh GM Kevin Colbert would get a player whose ability largely mirrors Shazier's. And so that's the thing, it's the speed and the lateral movement.
And he's a smart kid from Alabama. You always like that.
Yep.
I mean, the one thing about all these mock drafts is the mock drafts pretty much only put players in the first round that everybody's heard of.
Yep.
And there's going to be 4 or 5 guys in the first round that's going to have a lot of fan bases saying, what? Who? Who are going to turn out to mean, we don't really know who's actually on the GM's radars. We know the guys that were big names in college, so, you know.
Although I was surprised to see this one. The Buccaneers from the Bengals via the Bills and the Giants for all those trades. At number 12, they take Mike Hughes, the cornerback from Central Florida.
I've heard he's up to either the second or third best corner in the draft. The kid from Ohio State is 1. Alexander from Louisville is 2. And then, but I think the only thing that hurts a corner going that high, and again, I'm basing this on, you know, the average listening to, you know, ESPN and Bleacher Report and all these other, you know, football websites, is they think corner is one of the deepest positions in the draft.
Well, the first corner goes at 5, according to this, to the Broncos. Denzel Ward from Ohio State.
Right. And from what I've heard, there's 2 or 3 guys that could be first rounders, but there's so much talent at the corner right now that they're probably
at 8, the Bears take Minka Fitzpatrick.
Safety.
Who maybe ends up a safety. The 49ers then at 9, right afterwards, take the safety from Florida State, Derwin James.
I like him a lot.
Then the next pick is, the next defensive back is the one, the Buccaneers that I mentioned from UCF. Then, let's see if there's another one. I think that's, the next one is the Seahawks would take in the Steelers spot, Josh Jackson from Iowa.
He's a big corner, and they're assuming that Seattle still wants to go big with the Sherman-style corner.
Jackson's almost a football clone of Sherman, slightly taller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, you know, it's... I mean, we never know in the draft. I mean, I think the Steelers recently... I mean, I know they've traded up a couple of times, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them just sit there and take best available player, because they could use a lot of different things. I mean, they could use outside linebacker help, assuming Bud Dupree is just what he has been so far, and a little bit of a disappointment. They need an inside linebacker. They need a safety. You know, despite as good as Vance McDonald and Jesse James and Grimble have looked in the last year, I think if one of those top tight ends of the board, they use a tight end. They could clearly use another wide receiver because they're down to 3. One is over 30 now, and the other was a free agent next year. So wide receiver, I think, is also a need.
But it's the number 1 need.
I don't think there's a right. I think they'll take one at some point in the draft. I mean, I guess it would depend. You know, I don't see their board. And then I think if Lamar Jackson is sitting there for Pittsburgh then, before the Dolphins pick, I mean, I liked Josh Dobbs a lot last year, but I haven't heard any sort of excitement coming out of Pittsburgh, and I heard they bring in a lot of the quarterbacks in. I know you just do your due diligence. You talk to them all. You meet them all. That's what you do as an NFL scout.
I think the Steelers are trying to make plays to get good for the next year, 2 years, and take their last shot with Ben and Antonio Brown. And then they'll be in a massive rebuild. So they're not going to draft a quarterback until maybe the 3rd or 4th round, if they draft one at all.
Okay. Like I said, I'm hoping Josh Dobbs turns out to be what I saw in the interviews last year and not, you know, the knocks on him coming out.
Yeah, let's see. Any TV moments this week?
Actually, I watched The Assassination of Gianni Versace on FX.
And?
Well, I liked it. I mean, it was just to warn viewers out there, it gets a little gruesome with some of the violence. Because it's almost more a story about the killer, the assassinator, or assassin, I suppose, more so than Gianni Versace. We spend way more time with the assassin, and we see because he killed 4 or 5 men before he killed Gianni Versace. So we spent a lot of time with him. Yeah, I mean, I did no actual deep dive. I had never really, I knew of Versace from rap, but I didn't really know a lot about the story behind him. I knew he was, and I knew they were making a TV show about it. So I went in cold, and I haven't actually done any actual research to know what was actually true and not true. But he was sort of this grifter who was able to just sort of work his way into different communities. He became like an escort for older men. And he killed 4 to 5 people on his way to meeting Versace. And he was always sort of bigging himself up and trying to put himself into this higher echelon character. Even though he didn't come from a lot, he was always trying to put himself into high society and, telling these people all these people that he knew and dropping names and places he lived. But a lot of the reason people saw him at rich people's houses is he would be like somebody's stay-in concubine for an older man that would allow him to travel. And he just sort of had always been obsessed with Versace. And then he got to meet him, and it didn't go exactly as he had hoped it would go. And then he obviously killed him. I'm not saying a spoiler. I mean, the show's called The Assassination. We know it for real.
Yeah, he's dead. Everybody knows he's dead. So.
But the actor that portrays he has a really good job of portraying sort of a sociopath. It's really well done.
I watched Paterno last night.
And?
Well, he comes across as a guy. It's all about Paterno. It's not really about much else.
Okay.
Just Paterno during the Sandusky years. And so what I would say is that he's a man singularly focused on what his job is, coaching football. And when he did hear of the allegation from McCreary, he did go to his boss and told him that, hey, you need to look into this. But he didn't look into it. He told his boss, and he felt that that's what he needed to do, that he followed the chain of command. That's you always hear football coaches say that. He followed the chain of command and did what he was supposed to do, and it was up to other people to take the action because he's a football coach. And then the thing that was the saddest to me is he kept expecting Penn State to take care of him. Penn State was going to, like when they told him to hire a crisis
counselor.
manager.
Yeah.
He said, "Isn't Penn State going to do that? Or okay, if we hire one, should we hire one for us that's also the one for Penn State?" And he was very, really focused on Penn State. Really, absolutely. It was heartbreaking to see how that all played out that way. But it was even more heartbreaking to see that this could have been stopped 3 to 4 to 5 years earlier. It just never was.
Right.
And there's one real sickening scene, and it just shows the guy playing Sandusky getting in an elevator with a little boy with Paterno looking at him, and then the doors close on the elevator. Just really a really unsettling scene. It doesn't show anything, but
right.
Where it went.
I still think that is pretty much the best portrayal of Joe Paterno you can possibly have, given that, but there were, from what I remember from reading all the case files that they posted online and all the court documents, there were rumors about him doing this and being inappropriate with players and children for like the last 25 years.
Yeah, for sure.
And for him to pretend like he never heard...
a story about him playing naked racquetball with players.
Right. And that's got to be stuff Joe Paterno had heard of before this all came out. And he never made it sure that he never made the guy leave. He still let him have his camps with kids there. Like, he was complicit in a lot of this, that he still,
Well, they pushed him out. They did push him off the staff. So they did that. But by then he was with that second mile thing. And then they actually showed the document that he wanted for his settlement to leave the coaching staff.
Right, where he could still have keys and still go to the facility. And
he wanted all these things. And Joe would say, if the tickets are for your use, okay, but for second mile, no. And there was a few things they said no to, but one of them wasn't the keys. He had the keys. And people were just shocked that he had the keys. And they all agreed to it, so.
Yeah.
I don't know anywhere, Chase, where you're not working, you still have keys to your office.
No.
The building. That's one of the first things they ask for. You don't get your last paycheck till you turn your keys in.
No. Ever.
No. So it's crazy. So any food moments? I did not have what I would consider a great food moment. Although I'm looking forward to our weekend in New
Exactly. Yeah. I did not either. Sadly. I mean, I've been pretty much just eating on set, so it's just been nothing against the set food. It's just been very average food. So I haven't had anything exciting.
Well, we know Fitz will be stellar on Saturday night, and I'm hoping Marcellus is great on Friday night.
Right. And someone will go
And
to
I know Cake will be killer with every morning we get a cake.
Exactly. You can't go wrong with any of those places.
Nope.
And then depending on lunch, I know a few places that might be good little lunch spots too. So yeah. I think I've already talked about Beret, which is near my house. It's the place that has the smoked wings with a bunch of different sauces.
Yeah.
And then they have the beef fat fries, which are pretty outstanding. So.
Well, we should have a nice lunch before you jump on the plane, and when Mom and I jump on the plane to come back, so we'll figure that out. And then I'll talk it up on Twitter. I'll have some pictures of people on Twitter.
Yeah, we have fins in the other place too, so we have a lot of breakfast pics and dinner pics. So that should be probably plenty.
All right, I guess that winds us up for tonight.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have some more sports stories next week and some more stuff to get into. And
we should be able to talk about the first round of hockey. We'll be able to talk about the first round of basketball, which will start this weekend. So we'll see where it goes, and I'm sure there's going to be like 19 other NFL mock drafts between now and the draft.
And sadly, I will look at them all because I can't stop.
I will too.
I know that they
I
mean.
will too, because I like to be able to talk to you about them. So
I know. And I know they're meaningless, but they're just kind of fun, you know?
Yeah, they are.
And then you start reading the other things where it's like, again, not to go too Steeler heavy for people listening, but it's the easiest one to talk about. The Steelers always drafted.
The Steelers. The Browns do take Josh Allen because that was Mel Kiper's pick how long ago?
Yeah. Well, I know that they said that the improvement he made from the end of the season to the bowl games to his pro day with his footwork and his release, they said was just phenomenal. They love him as a person, and he's getting a lot of good buzz. So.
And I saw him with what's the guy on ESPN, the NASCAR kind of guy that's kind of funny, does all the goofy stuff on game day. He's got a real strong Southern accent.
I don't think I know him.
You know him. Well, anyhow, he was interviewing him because he was at the Masters.
Oh, okay.
And they said to him, well, how far can you really throw? And all he said was, see those mountains. And it was kind of a cool answer. So.
Yeah. It's very cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, signing off. We'll talk to everybody next week. Please support us. Please rate us. Please tell your friends to follow us.
And yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Signing off. Talk to you next week.